back. Sorry it's been so long. We have been so busy and we have had lots of guests come, and we have actually been helping move our in-laws into their new house. They just moved from Florida. So that was a really big event that we've been working on lately. But we are back at our house and we are doing something super exciting. We are putting up a pool. So we have been wanting to do this for so long, but we've just not had the right property, or we didn't have the finances for it, or just life, something happened and we were never able to do it, and it was just never priority. And I'm sure some of you can relate to that, but we're finally able to do it. So we would love for you to come join us as we get it set up, and maybe you can find some tips and tricks if you're wanting to do it too, because it sounds like there's quite a bit involved with it. So this is the first pool we will be setting up ever. So we'll see how it goes. Wish us luck. Okay, so we have semi kind of prepped the ground before we got to this point. What we did was really just kind of take our mower and put it on the very lowest setting we could get it, and sprayed some weed killer a few days ago to kind of kill the grass that was there. And now we are trying to figure out how level the ground is. So we just got a 2x4 and the longest level we had, and drilled a hole in it and put it into the ground in the center there, so that it can be spun to figure out where the low spots are, the high spots are, and kind of gauge there. We're working with a relatively flat level area, but I'm sure we'll have to do some navigating that as well, but that'll be the first step. All right, guys, I'll walk you through some of these steps. So we started off with putting some sand down in the area that was a bit lower, which, as you see here, we just used regular, I want to say it was just some kind of play sand, like regular play sand. And we used our little contraption that we put together that we talked about earlier, and that just helps smooth it over. So we only bought, I think it was like 6 bags of sand, if I remember correctly. And we probably could have used a little bit more, but, you know, we really just didn't want to spend so much money on all this sand. So we put in enough. We were able to utilize what we had, and I think it worked out well. And we got to a point where when we were spreading it out, it was going out further than it needed to. So instead of like trying to move it with our hands or a shovel, we just got another 2x4 that we already had, and we just put it right in there, and that seemed to work well to keep it from spreading out too far. So again, nothing we had to really, you know, buy. We just used what we had. So yeah, overall that really did help us kind of keep everything as even as possible and allow us to kind of build height onto that. And I will say, doing that little contraption was so much easier than trying to level everything out with like a shovel or by hand. That did save us a lot of time. I actually looked at my husband a little crazy when he did that, but I gotta give him props. It was a good idea and it worked really well. So we are now kind of moving on to putting down the little mat, and I don't really know what it's called. I know they sell them under like the pool stuff on Amazon, and I'll link everything below that I can, but it's almost like a thick felt material, and it really just kind of helps put a barricade between the like ground, so that it's not actually like putting any holes in the actual pool liner itself. And it also helps put a barrier too for the grass. So that should help eliminate any issues, you know, long term down the road. So here we are putting together setting up the actual pool liner itself. So we saw a lot of things that said to let it set out in the sun for a bit, to kind of like make it a little more like malleable, and we did that, and it does help. It makes it a bit easier to set up and kind of stretch out and put out. So I do recommend that as well. And putting this part up, like this is when we started putting in like the rods and the main ring that went around the top of it. And this part, I will say, only took us maybe like 15 to 20 minutes. It did not take long. They are not kidding when they call it a quick set or easy set, because it went quick. I was surprised. I had anticipated that this was going to take much longer, and it didn't. So keeping that in mind, I don't think it's very hard to do. It didn't take us very long, and it wasn't difficult to set up either. So definitely easier than expected. So that is a plus for this particular set that we got. And I did want to point out, I know you see me kind of popping in and out, and before haters come at me, I promise I was doing the best that I can. I unfortunately had some issues with my heart the beginning of last year, so it's been just over a year now since I've been diagnosed and been dealing with it. And I'll talk more about that when we go back up to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, and we'll be heading back up there. I want to say it's mid-July, and I'm going to share that with you guys because I think it's important to share the things that we go through sometimes, because I thought for about 10 years I was losing my mind and I was crazy, and every doctor I went to always kind of pretty much told me the exact same. So it took me about 10 years to get my diagnosis, and I feel like it's important to share that with others that may be experiencing something similar to that. But nonetheless, we'll keep that for another day. I just wanted to point out that some of the medication I'm on does make me extremely heat intolerant, and this day the real feel was miserable. It was like 102-degree real feel, and unfortunately we had to push through because we really wanted to get this set up before the 4th of July weekend, because we had some friends coming over, and just in general we wanted it set up because it was so dang hot. So you do see me popping in and out. I had to take a lot of rest breaks and drink a lot of water, and I was bringing water out to my husband as well. But nonetheless, this was easy to set up. I'm going to stop talking now so you guys don't have to listen to me continue to gab, but I'll put some music on for you to enjoy the finishing of the setup. And here you see us finishing up the setup of the ladder. So I have a couple things to say about the ladder. I have feelings. So while the ladder works and it's fine, it isn't great for your more plus size individuals, let's say. It does what the job and it does what it's supposed to. It's just really narrow, and it is just, I don't know, it's just not great. It's just not something we like, and we don't think it's going to work for our family. So we are looking at a different ladder that's a bit more substantial with like bigger steps and a bit wider. But I will say they're so expensive. I've been looking, and the cheapest one I was able to find was like almost $300, like the high 200s. And then the next step up was like $400 and something. And they went as high as to like $800. So I'm like, that is more than we paid for the whole dang pool setup. So just keep that in mind if you are looking to purchase a set like this. The ladders are not great. But I do want to say overall real quick that this pool does say it takes 1 to 2 people to set up. I feel like it can be done with one person. It's just quicker and easier with 2 people. So just keep that in mind as well, that the setup is doable for one person. All right, guys, the pool is officially up. This is the next day. So it is still filling, but we have it up. So exciting, which is really nice because it's like 1,000,001 degrees outside today. So I cannot wait to get in it and swim. I already blew up all the pool floaties, so the kids will have something to play in. All right, we'll check back in a little bit. Friends, here we are. Just a few hours later, and we are almost to the top where we need to be. So I will say we filled it for about an hour last night, and then this morning we started at 5, and it is like 5 in the morning, and it is currently, I think, almost, what, like 3:30? Between 3:30 and 4, so it's almost done. We're getting there. We did kind of break the rules a little bit and have the kids in there a little bit earlier, but we're getting there. We are to the point where we are now starting to put together the little filter that comes with it. And from what we understand, the filter is not great, so we're probably not going to keep this filter, but it is at least going to get us started. But yeah, that's where we're at. So we'll show you when it's completely finished. Exciting news, the pool is officially finished. So we've got these little pavers here that'll take us out to the actual pool and ladder. And then we've got a little foot bath here to keep all the gunk out of the pool, or at least cut down on some of the gunk in the pool. And then a little waiting spot here. I will say the ladder is not great. I'm not sure if I said this already, but we are looking at getting a different one just because I'm not a fan of this one. But it's all set. We might add just a little bit more water to it because it's not quite as full as it can be. But yes, we're so excited. We've been in it. It's wonderful. So nice to have with the heat that we've been experiencing here in the Midwest. And I just want to point out that I know a big thing is about leveling, but what I will say is not that it isn't important, it is absolutely important, but for us, it worked out to where we did a little bit of sand down here on this side, and we put some pavers. So we were about 2 inches off, and we ended with being about maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches off. So this side here was a bit lower than the back side. The back side was a bit higher. So we don't have any pavers on the back side. Don't let that deter you from the pool and stuff like that. It is important. I don't want to, say it isn't, but it worked out just fine. We're still a little bit unlevel, but overall we're very close, and we've not had a single issue, and we've been in it with multiple people so far. So just don't let that be, something that you say, oh, we can't get it because of. And ours wasn't super unlevel either, so we were pretty lucky. We were working with a relatively level space. But yeah. So super excited. We'll have it for all summer. We'll get to swim in it. But thank you guys for joining us. I really do appreciate it. We would love it if you'd like and subscribe so that you can join us on some of our future videos. And I appreciate it again. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks.